had taken a batch of Puritans from Plymouth, England. The Battle of Bunker Hill, the first major battle, was fought in Massachusetts. Which of the following acts required the colonies to pay for the cost of keeping British troops in America? Quartering Act. The first president of the American Republic was George Washington. The Reign of Terror ended with the fall of Robespierre. The book Social Contract was written by Rousseau. The hardcore Republicans were the Jacobins. Marat played a major role in September Massacre. The first consul was Napoleon Bonaparte. Fill in the blanks. Pennsylvania was named after the name Quaker Penn. The Preamble of Sugar Act provided the slogan "No taxation without representation." Boston Tea Party was a challenge which led to war between the rebellious colonies and England. The Boston Massacre led to intense anti-British propaganda to newspapers, posters, and pamphlets. The Virginia Assembly, Thomas Jefferson declared that 1st June 1774 would be a day of fasting and prayer. The first Continental Congress met in Philadelphia. George Washington remarked, "Common sense is working as a powerful change in the minds of men." Louis XIV was indirectly under the influence of his wife, 16, Marie Antoinette. The Continental Congress had drafted the Articles of Confederation. Turgot, Necker, Calonne, and Brienne were the finance ministers of the French king. Choose the correct statement. The persecution of Puritans prompted many to leave England and settle. George Fox was the founder of the society in England. The northern states planters were in need of slaves. Americans had good representation in British Parliament. 1 and 2 are correct. Timeline. Answer the following question. Write a timeline of any 5 events: 1789 to 1794 or 1760 to 1800. 1765, the Quartering Act. 1774, First Continental Congress met. 1789, Tennis Court Oath. 1790, Flight of the King to Varanasi. 1792, September Massacre. 1773, execution of Louis XVI. 1794, evolution of Robespierre. Congress met in September 1774 at Philadelphia. The Loyalists were better organized than the Patriots. After the Battle of Yorktown, Cornwallis lost the confidence of the executive British governments. One of the results of the England War of Independence was the separation of the church and the state. Option C, 1 is correct. Assertion E. The revolutionaries were determined to fight against royal absolutism. Reason R. Mirabeau quoted the Declaration of Independence with enthusiasm during the French Revolution. Answer C. A is correct and R is the explanation of A. Assertion A. In September 1791, the National Assembly framed the first constitution. Reason R. The king was given unlimited powers as the executive head. Option A. A is correct and R is not the explanation of A. Match the following. Daughters of the Liberty, Townshend Acts, General Gage, Massachusetts, Second Continental Congress, Olive Branch Petition, Richard Henry Lee, Resolution of Independence, Peace of Paris, Cornwallis, Nobles of the Sword, Traditional, Nobles of the Robe, New Class of Nobility, Rousseau, Social Contract, The Spirit of Laws, Montesquieu, Mirabeau, National Assembly. Answer the following briefly. Mention about the attempts made by Britain to establish colonies in America. Jamestown was the first British colony in America, 1607. The ship Mayflower had taken a batch of Puritans from Plymouth, England to America in 1620s. Unit test. Time 40 minutes. Marks 25. Choose the correct answer. 4 into 1, 4. The symbol of royal despotism in France was A. Versailles Palace. B. Paris Commune. B. Prison of Bastille. D. Estate General. American War of Independence was ended with the Peace of Paris in the year A. 1776, B. 1779, C. 1781, D. 1783. The first British colony in America was A. New York, B. Philadelphia, C. Jamestown, D. Amsterdam. The book Social Contract was written by A. Rousseau, B. Montesquieu, B. C. Voltaire, D. Diderot. Fill in the blanks. The leader of the National Assembly of France was Dash. Louis XVI was arrested at Dash with his family when he tried to escape from France. The Dash Act insisted on repaying the debt in gold or silver. The Americans were divided among themselves a patriot and Dash. Choose the correct answer. 1. The Portuguese were the pioneers of naval expeditions. 2. New Plymouth was named after the Quaker pen. 3. Quakers had the reputation of encouraging wars. 4. The English changed the name of New Amsterdam to New York. A. 1 and 2 are correct. B. 3 is correct. C. 4 is correct. D. 1 and 4 are correct. Assertion A. There was a massive peasant revolt in the Vendee against conscriptions. Reason R. The peasants, as supporters of the king, did not like to fight against them. A. Both A and R are incorrect. B. Both A and R are correct. C. A is correct and R is incorrect. D. A is incorrect and R is correct. Match the following. Turgot, Britain and France, 7-Year War, Montesquieu, The Spirit of Wars, Louis XVI, Marie Antoinette, France Finance Minister, 4 into 1, 4. On the 2 into 1, 2, 4 into 1, 4. Answer the following briefly. Who were Puritans? Why did they leave England? 3 into 2, 6. Explain the composition of the 3 estates of France. What were the taxes and representation had to pay in France on the eve of revolution? Answer the following in detail. Highlight the contribution of the French philosophers to the revolution of 1789. 1 into 5, 5. Answers. 1. Versailles Palace. 2. Option D. 1783. The option A. 3. Option C. Jamestown. 4. Option A. Rousseau. 1. Mirabeau. 2. Varanus. 3. Currency Act. 4. Loyalist. 1. C. Fourth one is correct. 2. C. A is correct and R is incorrect. Match the following. Turgot, France, Finance Minister. 7 Years War, Britain and France. The Spirit of Laws, Montesquieu. Marie Antoinette, Louis XVI. When the finance ministers of the king, Turgot, Necker, Calonne and Brienne, suggested reduction of royal expenditure and taxation of the first 2 estates, the nobles and the clergy. The government borrowed heavily, resulting in a huge fiscal deficit. What was the impact of the American War of Independence on the French Revolution? The establishment of the American Republic inspired the French Revolution and provided them with a model. The French, like Lafayette, who participated in the American War of Independence, come back with democratic ideals. He played an active role in the French Revolution. Write a note on the National Assembly formed during the course of the French Revolution. The National Assembly comprised moderate liberals who wanted a constitution on the model of England and America. Their leader was Mirabeau. Their assembly was controlled by the middle classes. There was no representation to the peasants and the common masses. The National Assembly abolished serfdom, feudal privilege, including exempting nobles and clergy from taxation, even titles and feudal codes. The Assembly then passed a declaration of the rights of the man and the citizen, later known as the Girondins and Jacobins. The moderate liberals wanted to keep the king as a limited monarch. They called themselves the party of the Girondins. The hardcore Republicans were the Jacobins. What is meant by the term reign of terror? In September 1793, the convention passed the law of suspects, which authorized the arrest of persons suspected of opposing the revolution. A month later, 22 Girondins deputies to the convention were tried. by the Revolutionary Tribunal and sentenced to death. Thus began the Reign of Terror. When did the Reign of Terror end? The Reign of Terror lasted for 46 days. On 27 July 1794, the conviction suddenly turned against Robespierre and his supporters. The Reign of Terror ended with the fall of Robespierre. Robespierre, the dictator of the conviction, though he was honest, patriotic, and person of integrity, earned notoriety by sending many of his colleagues to the guillotine. In October 1795, the convention broke up and a directory of 5 members assumed power. How did Napoleon become the Emperor of France? The director was short-lived and was replaced by the consulate with Napoleon as the first consul. This consulate was abolished by Napoleon Bonaparte, which later crowned himself as the Emperor of France. Write the causes for the fall of Bastille. The critical movement came after the king shut out the commoners and later assembled in the tennis court and took an oath that they could not disperse until they found a way out of their problems. The king tried to use force, but his own soldiers refused to obey his orders. Louis then intrigued to get foreign regiments to shoot down his own people. This provoked the people to rise in revolt in Paris on 14 July 1789. They stormed the Bastille prison and set free all the prisoners. The fall of the Bastille was the first great turning point in the revolution. State the results of the American War of Independence. For the first time, a colonial power was overthrown by the colonies, leading to the establishment of a republican government in the United States. The Declaration of Independence of 1776 stated that all men are born equal. By 1777, nearly all the colonies have a written constitution. This constitution protects individual rights, freedom of press, and freedom of religion. The church and the state were separated. Thomas Jefferson, in his Virginia Statute for religious freedom, introduced freedom of religion. This was later incorporated into the American Constitution. Lafayette, who fought the British on Washington's side through the conclusive battle at Yorktown in 1781, later during the French Revolution served the French National Guard as his commander. He penned the Declaration of the Rights of Men and the Citizen with the help of Jefferson, with the National Assembly of France adopted on August 27, 1789. Ring out the impact of the French Revolution. The French Revolution had many lasting results. It marked the end of the system of absolute monarchy in France. All feudal privileges were abolished and the power of clergy was curbed. The revolution united the people of different sections and paved the way for the enhanced power of the state. It also led to the growth of feelings of nationalism and the emergence of an assertive middle class. Revolution upheld the theory of people's sovereignty and laid the foundation for the birth of liberal constitutional governments in Europe. Liberty, equality, and fraternity became the watchwords of freedom loving people over the world. It inspired many latter day political movements for the establishment of liberal democracy in Europe and elsewhere. However, it received the tax on tea with the intention of encouraging the business of the East India Company by making it easy for it to take its tea to America and sell it there. This harmed the local tea trade, and so it was decided to boycott this foreign tea. What was the role played by Cornwallis in the American War of Independence? Cornwallis' military action in the American War of Independence was praiseworthy. He inflicted defeats on the American army in a few battles to finally had to surrender his army at Yorktown. Despite his defeat, Cornwallis retained the confidence of successive British governments and continued to enjoy an active career. Mention the importance of the victory of the Americans at Yorktown. In September, Washington attacked Yorktown with the combined American and French troops. On 19 October 1781, Cornwallis surrendered. In 1783, the Peace of Paris was signed. Great Britain attained to the independence of the United States. The British forces departed from Yorktown in 1781. Mention the three major revolutions in the second half of the English century in the modern world. The three revolutions are major. The American Revolution, which helps to end the pre-capitalist feudal past. The Industrial Revolution, which are the foundation for capitalism laid. The French Revolution, which affected the life and society in the whole of continental Europe. How did the revolution of 1789 begin in France? The representation of the third estate, namely the commons, have refused either to bow to the nobles or to obey their orders to the king. They proclaimed themselves as National Assembly and gathering on a tennis court after the king had cleared them out of their hall. They swore on oath not to disperse until the king gave him a constitution. Thus began the Revolution of 1789 in France. What were the economic causes of the French Revolution? On the eve of the French Revolution, the French treasury was bankrupt because of its involvement in the 7 Years' War. French participation in the American Year of Independence made the financial condition worse. The luxurious lifestyle of the royalty and nobles in Versailles court added to the economic crisis.